Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show. And Happy New Year. Oh,
No, look at that.
you're off to a great start.
We're already off. 2023 is off to, honestly, an appropriate start. Hi. We're back. It's been at least 1 minute since we have done a show, as evidenced by the fact that I do not have the graphic up. So I've kind of forgotten how to do this, but kablam. We are Texas Football Today, and we're back today on this today. I'm also clearing my throat because I haven't spoken, and I don't speak whenever I'm not in front of a microphone. I'm a mute.
That is...
Nobody has ever spoken to me, at least in the last 8 years, without there being a microphone in front of.
Yeah, you can't make eye contact with them either.
No, most certainly not. We are back from vacation. We're going to get into what we did over our holiday vacation when we get into the big show. I don't want to bum everybody out, but like I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't talk about what happened last night in Monday Night Football. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I was watching it live.
So I almost never watch Monday Night Football, but I was. I'm in a fantasy championship, and so I had a vested interest, let's say, in the outcome of particular players in last night's game. So I had Monday Night Football on. I mean, it was in the kind of thing of like, it's first quarter, and so just kind of on in the background. We had just gotten home from our family trip, and so we're kind of doing things hither and yon across the house, getting kind of put back together. And I did watch the play that this terrible thing happened to Damar Hamlin. I did watch the play, and I saw them go to injury timeout, and I think I had the same reaction that everybody had, was like, oh, you know what? Hey, maybe he has bell rung, got the wind knocked out of him, something like that.
Yeah.
There's any hundreds of number of things that could cause some sort of injury stoppage that you're just like, oh, okay, hey, he good, they're going to come out.
Right, you're
here.
playing in Cincinnati too. Like, it's cold. Maybe, you get the wind knocked out of you. Sometimes it's hard to catch your breath a little bit.
Like he tweaked his knee like on the tackle, and then he tried to get up. Oh, he couldn't get back.
Yeah.
Something like that. And so I just kind of walked away, treated it like any other kind of timeout. Just kind of walked away doing something, and I came back like 15 minutes later after doing something outside, and like they were still stopped, and I'm like, what's going on here? I did end up seeing the replay. I thought, actually, at that point, I kind of locked in of, like, as you do with, I think, major news events. I think you and I are kind of wired similarly of, like...
Oh, yeah, I couldn't turn off the coverage last night.
If there's something going on, like, I need to be by the channel. And I actually thought that from a media perspective, I thought ESPN handled it pretty well. There's not really a script for this kind of thing. And I thought overall they handled it with the appropriate amount of gravity and the appropriate amount of seriousness.
Yeah, they all of those broadcasters deserve a huge pat on the back, because there is no textbook for that. Like we would never know what to do in that situation until it happens, and they all did a really, really good job. I did think that after a certain point of having to keep going back to the studio, I felt so bad for those broadcasters, because what can you say? I do wonder if there were talks as a producer-minded person of, okay, let's put up a full screen graphic of saying, hey, we'll update you the moment we have a thing, instead of forcing speculation. They never speculated, but I did worry it was getting into that realm of how much can you talk about this until speculation. Like, the timeline ended up working out, but about the fourth time they went back to the studio, it was starting to get like, oh, I feel so bad for them.
Oh yeah, I mean they kept doing it, and it's obviously it's apples and oranges, but what I kept thinking about was what do you do if the Rangers are playing in Baltimore, and to quote the Counting Crows, it's raining in Baltimore, right? What do you do then? It's like, oh, you go to, we've got Rangers Insider on Bally Sports Southwest. And so I was thinking, I was like, do they have like an NFL Live queued up?
See, yeah, but then that's why I said full screen, because in my mind, that's paying it homage, like, with the respect of what it is. I felt like if you just cut over to an ESPN 30 for 30 or something, that's just kind of like, oh, well, this doesn't matter, so we're just putting on other programming. I felt like a full screen of saying, like, we will have as soon as we have an update, like, stick here on the channel type of thing, because it's forcing no one to talk, but then also giving it the respect of not just putting on a wrestling thing. Like, you know how Bally has, like, wrestling that comes on afterwards?
Yeah, they do.
Like, that wouldn't be ideal, you know?
It was such a strange thing, and obviously, I think everybody hopes that, he's okay and stuff. I thought that the NFL eventually got to the right decision of, like, because I just don't think there was any way you could ask people to go out there and play a football game after that. It's kind of like, well, it was interesting because the natural comparison is what happened in 2021 with Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen, of course, I believe the Swedish player, Dutch player, Danish player, who collapsed on the pitch at Euro 2020 with a heart incident as well. He had a heart, like some sort of heart, and they suspended the game, I think, until they got a positive report and said he's going to be okay. They've looked at him. He's going to be okay. Obviously, that hasn't come out.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah, there was no way.
And so that's the only comparison I can make. And so I just thought there was no way.
I was at the Stars game when the player had a cardiac arrest on the bench in 20.
What's his name?
It starts with an A. I don't remember how to say it. I had no bearings of Stars hockey.
Rich Peverly.
Yes, Peverly. That's what it was. We were on a spring break trip up here when I was, I don't even know, probably in junior high or very early high school, and we decided to go to a Stars game. So I had never been to a hockey game. I had no idea who they were, but it happened about 3 minutes into the game, and they ended up canceling it. And I can tell you, as a young girl who had no knowledge of hockey, the quietness that happens in a stadium when that happens, it's like it sticks with you. There's no way, like, I can't even imagine as a team watching your teammate go through that, how it is. But that's when I was like, there's no way, because I remember being a young girl and not knowing anything about hockey and going like, they can't play this game.
No, I think eventually the guys are there, and I'm really interested in if they play it at all. I think there's a greater than zero chance that this game just gets canceled, and they just say, okay, well, you guys are going to play 16 games instead of 17. I think there's a real chance of that. It was a scary sight. I saw the video online once, and I was like, that's enough for me. And I'm glad ESPN quit showing the replay. They showed it once, and they're like, okay, we don't need to see some guy collapse.
They handled it really well.
Because I thought that they were like, people were, I think Bomani Jones was on CNN this morning, and he was like, I was texting with somebody, I was like, did we just watch someone die on the field?
Yeah.
And obviously he's not out of the woods. I'm glad he's getting the medical care that he's getting. Shout out to the athletic trainers who obviously, hopefully he continues to trend in a positive way and he's getting the care that he needs. And so if he does, then they saved his life. You know what I mean? Like, on his field. So anyway, that was the news last night, and it was football related, so we might as well talk about it on football. Yeah. Certainly hope that Damar Hamlin is well sooner as opposed to later. So tough scene last night, but from a media perspective, I thought that it was handled pretty well.
It was handled with grace.
Yeah,
I think it's the best way to put it.
Okay, hit the theme. Let's go. Pickle. Hit the arrow sign. Yes, y'all.
Oh, that's a little rough.
Start of the year for everybody. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show on the internet. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or listen to us in the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today. She's making us sound good. She's back from what she demanded to be a 2-week sabbatical. She's the Duchess of the Dark. She's Ashley Pick.
I don't think I got a 2-week sabbatical.
Well, I don't know. Were you doing a show?
Not this show.
Well, there you go. That's exactly right.
From TFT, yeah, I guess that's
Today is Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023. How about that? 324 days till Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, rather. Happy birthday to future Pro Football Hall of Famer Eli Manning.
Oh,
Eli
nice.
Manning's going in the Hall of Fame, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's got 2 Super Bowls. He's going in the Hall of Fame. When he won that second one, all I was thinking was like, he's going in the Hall of Fame. They're going to put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like Tony Romo's not, and he is.
That's fair.
That's like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's episode 1000.
Tony Romo might go in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame at this point.
He might have a
He's
better
really
shot there.
stinking good.
He might have a better shot there.
Like,
than he does.
say what you will about the way that he played for the Cowboys, but he's really
Might have a
stinking
better
good at
shot there than
broadcasting.
he does as a player.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, hey, way to bounce back, my dude.
Episode 1517. On today's show, folks, we are going to take a look back at the past couple weeks. We've been off. And there have been some things that have happened that we would like to talk about. This is the first January 3rd show I've done in a while because last year I was on paternity leave. Did not have a kid this year.
Thank
There
goodness.
you go. Did not.
Shout out to your 2 kids.
Navigated
no
those
more.
waters. Exactly right. So we will run through some of the most important things that happened over the course of the past couple of weeks to get you up to speed. In the back half of the show, it's what we did on our holiday vacation. Pickle's going to tell you all about the why she is hated in Southern California. I am going to tell you about the magic of a minivan and how much it sucks to get the flu over Christmas.
Yeah.
Talk about that coming up here at the back half of the show. Do we have first, fourth, fifth,
We sure do. Nick Morton, Ed McElroy, Daniel Agnew, and Zill0678. Welcome in, fellas.
That's my close personal friend. That's actually the godfather of my son.
Yes.
What'd you say?
Zill0678. Also, Zill came in with the next comment too, and he said, "Math Tuesday?" ? My guy.
We may
not
be
today.
Not
but
today. Today's recap Tuesday, but who knows? Hey, listen,
we did
could be back by popular demand.
we need to go find it. I wish I would have marked down what episode it is, but we did do like a homage to Math Tuesday, like we do with the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
However many days you counted it up at one point. I wish we would have.
The number of Math Tuesdays we did.
No, the days after our last Math Tuesday, we did like the days until
next Math Tuesday. Hey, maybe we'll see
Tuesday.
next Tuesday. Maybe Math Tuesday. We'll find out. It's the off season, folks.
You
Although
never know.
technically not. Which
No,
is
exactly.
actually a great segue into while we were gone.
Mhm.
So we've been off for the past couple of weeks, talking with our families, reintroducing ourselves to them, because as you guys know, during football season, we become hermits. We become football hermits. But we're back after a long and I would say maybe not restful, but we'll talk about that in the back half of the show. Break.
These
But-
headphones are all squeaky. I don't know what happened. They're like stiff. They need some
Good to be back.
WD-40 on them.
While we were gone, there was a fair amount of football that continued to happen across the state of Texas and involving the state of Texas. And so let's talk a little bit about some of the big headlines. We're going to start with, obviously,
Go Frogs!
the biggest news, which is that for the first time since 2010, a team from Texas is going to play for the national championship
Let's
game.
go.
As TCU defeated Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl to advance to the national championship game, while they will take on the number 1 team in the nation, the Georgia Bulldogs. How locked into this game were you?
Not super. I didn't
Okay.
have a chance to watch that one as much. I went back and watched a lot of the highlights and stuff. I did watch the entire night game, but I didn't get to see that one much.
I thought that for TCU, what is so funny is that they hung 51 on Michigan, and I thought their quarterback didn't play particularly well.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought they gave up 45 to Michigan, and I thought their defense played pretty well. Like, this is one of those don't look at the box score type games, because the numbers are not going to be particularly kind to TCU's defense. Mm-hmm. And yet, I thought that for the most part, they held up in a big way against a Michigan team that was supposed to run all over them. Mm-hmm. The word coming into that game was, TCU's run defense is going to have a hell of a time slowing down Michigan. And Michigan, first play of the game, busted off like a 54-yard run.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh-oh.
I did see. I was watching that live, and I was like, oh, frogs.
But after that, they settled in.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense, I thought, played particularly well. They got 2 pick sixes. I thought D. Winters was all over the place. Mm-hmm. He was masterful in this game. They had 13 tackles for loss in this game. 13 tackles for loss. Mm-hmm. You do that, you're going to win a lot of ball games. The defense, I thought, played really well for the most part.
But
they gave up some big plays, but they were played pretty well.
Especially like you said, there's no doubt the TCU defense heard all the weeks leading up to it. They're not going to be able to stop them. But this is also a Michigan team that is used to playing on a really big stage. When's the last time that a TCU defense has had to come up and really play on a big stage? They haven't.
Yeah. And so this was, I thought that the first quarter was really important, and that first drive, especially the end of the first drive. And you heard some of the linebackers and some of the defensive players say it after the game. It got to be 4th and goal at the 2 for Michigan on their opening drive. And Michigan runs the Philly special, where they run kind of the reverse throwback to the quarterback, and TCU sniffs it out. And after the game, I believe Craven was there. I know Craven was there. I don't know if he was there when this particular comment got made. But the TCU defenders were basically saying, yeah, we knew we had them at that point. Because if they're reaching into the bag on the opening drive when it's 4th and goal at the 2, and this is supposed to be this big, bad, menacing Big Ten team that's going to run all over us, and they're not going to line it up and try to run it through us, then yeah, we know we got them.
Yep.
And sure enough, they held on in a big way. On the other side, what's so interesting is that the Heisman finalist quarterback for TCU, Max Duggan, I don't think he played particularly well.
No, he did that Max Duggan thing where he did enough, but he wasn't the game changer this game. He has been the game changer more this year, but not this game.
The game changer for them was their ability to run the ball. Amari DiMarcado had really lifted the running game when Kendre Miller went down. We don't know the status of Kendre Miller for the championship game, but the running game really I thought that TCU up front was really good in this game on the offensive line and on the defensive line. And did enough. And once again, it's another one-score game, but they win it again. And
which there's experience in doing that coming into fruition.
Yes, absolutely. And so now they move on to the national championship game, which is Monday. We'll have a big preview kind of throughout the week, and then of course Monday we'll break it down in a big way. But TCU will play Georgia in the national championship game. They will be underdogs. They will be sizable underdogs. I think the last time I saw it, they were 13-point underdogs to Georgia. I have not been particularly impressed with Georgia's defense of late.
They had a lot of injuries, too, in that late game. I'm not saying
one of their tight ends went out, which is really important to what they do. We'll see. I think TCU is an understandable underdog in this game, but I think they were an understandable underdog against Michigan. And so we'll see. They'll have to, they've got an opportunity to win the first national championship for the state of Texas since 2005. When Texas did it, they will play for the first championship since 2010. Pretty remarkable. And for a first-year coach and Sonny Dykes to do that is pretty spectacular. So TCU through to the national championship game on Monday. That was really good news for Texas postseason teams. And
ultimately the most important news, honestly.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. all due respect to bowl games, but not all bowl games are built the same.
Talk about top of the table there. Because,
then it kind of...
So the state of Texas, I put finishes. There is one more game, obviously, the national championship game. But for now, everyone has played their originally scheduled bowl games. And the 9 bowl teams in Texas won a grand total of 3-6. 3-6. I believe that's the case. Is that right? Or is it 3-5? Whatever it is. They were the bowl season has
No, it is 3-5 because there was only 8 teams.
That's right. Texas State,
Yep.
UTEP,
North Texas,
and A&M. That's right. So it was only 8. So 3-5, I should say. Finished 3-5 in bowl games. It was a rough bowl season for Texas.
Yeah.
Now, part of it, in my opinion, is that there were some really good bowl matchups that I think more or less. For example, the first bowl game was while we were at state championships. It was the Cure Bowl with UTSA and Troy, which is just a great ball game. Troy ends up winning that game 18-12, but that was a matchup of teams that entered the game both as 11-win teams. So part of that is like, okay, well, that's just a really good ball game. Rice Rice now finishes with the very bizarre 5-8 record.
Yeah, that is weird.
As they get beat, they give up 329 yards to Frank Gore Jr. on the ground and lose to Southern Miss in the Lending Tree Bowl. SMU loses a heartbreaker. They can't come back and beat BYU in the New Mexico Bowl. North Texas hung tough with Boise State, but in the end it was not enough as they lose the Frisco Bowl. So that was problematic there for the state of Texas. I actually, and we'll talk about why, but I actually watched a decent amount of the Armed Forces Bowl, and I'm not sure why. But I do know why.
Well, you couldn't go outside because it was freezing.
I also couldn't go outside because I had the flu.
Oh, yeah, that.
And so I watched Air Force beat up Baylor.
Yeah.
Now,
they were not prepared for that weather.
They weren't prepared for that weather,
all.
and Air Force ran all over.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something to behold, and I thought Baylor was not particularly impressive there in the Armed Forces Bowl. We finally got our first win in the Independence Bowl with a wild comeback as Houston beats Louisiana in the Independence Bowl.
Go Cougs.
The Cougs get the win. Finally got Texas in the win column.
Apparently there were people like trapped in the elevator because it's
really?
It's at the it was in Shreveport, which is not the best facility.
We kept it. I have been to the Independence Bowl.
It's
a stadium. We kept the good vibes going as Tech beats Ole Miss.
That was a big win
in the Texas Bowl, and I thought they looked great.
Yeah, they really did.
And in a lot of ways, bowls are kind of a measurement of how much you care about the bowl game. And I don't want to hear because this it's very famous that the people from the SEC are going to be like, oh man, well they just didn't care about the bowl game though more than that. That's why USC is certainly going to complain oh well Tulane just wanted to.
Tulane won their national championship.
Yeah, they cared about it more. It's like, well, you still lost.
Yeah.
And Tech looked like a team that was playing
to prove something. And
I thought that what you saw from Tyler Shuck was pretty darn good. They ran the ball pretty well. And yeah, Tech gets a nice win over Ole Miss in the Texas Bowl, the Texas Bowl.
Which again, say whatever that you want about bowl games being not important or whatever, but this was the prime example for me of a program that's going to utilize that to really push that forward, and an Ole Miss team that's going to be like.
The other things about it is you get 3 extra weeks of practice.
Yeah,
and that's so important.
That's huge.
We talk with high school coaches that they say winning playoff games. What that does is it gets you extra weeks of practice.
Yeah.
Which it builds
especially under a first-year head coach.
Absolutely.
That's invaluable.
Absolutely. The Alamo Bowl. Did you watch any of the Alamo Bowl?
No.
Washington and Texas.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to watch Texas lose in the Alamo Bowl again.
I thought Quinn Ewers actually looked pretty good. And I also thought that they very, 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 very obviously missed Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, well, and Demarion Overshone was out, and Rashawn Johnson was out. Yeah. That's why I didn't watch it.
They couldn't run the ball particularly well, and that was a big problem. But so Washington beats Texas in the Alamo Bowl, and then was that then we had TCU and Michigan. So there you go. It was there's a little bowl recap for what we saw. Other things that we missed while we were gone.
At one of the bowl games.
At the TaxAct Texas Bowl.
Presented by Kroger. Well, the award is.
You got to see the 2022 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year crowned.
Yeah.
As Timpson's Terry Bussey was named the 2022 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year, presented by the TaxAct Texas Bowl and Kroger. And yeah, it was a tough choice for us, as always. But when you take a look at what he was able to do last year, he was a juggernaut at Timpson. He had 4,773 yards of total offense and 80 total touchdowns. 80 total touchdowns. And was the most dominant player. He was, in our opinion, my opinion as well, I share it, but in our opinion, he was the most dynamic and dangerous individual player in the state of Texas. It was a tough decision. We sat around and we debated it, and it was a tough, there's a lot of really worthy candidates, but in the end, we kept coming back to Terry Bussey. And what a dominant player he was, and how impressive he was, leading Timpson to the state semifinals. And we thought he was the best player in the state. That's why he's Mr. Texas Football.
And my favorite part about this award is there are so many awards that look at like future projections of what the student athlete is going to do. Like, are they going to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL? Like, this is solely what they did in high school. Like, you are the hometown hero, you are the hometown legend, and I feel like that's exactly what Terry Bussey is. Can he be the first-round draft pick?
Yeah.
Sure, man, go for it. Likely, probably not. But gosh darn it, you want to talk about a team that needed their guy to be able to get as far as they've done every single year? It's him.
He was the most outstanding high school football player in the state of Texas in 2022. That is our opinion. Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and that's why he's our Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year. He is, by the way, the first underclassman, just the second underclassman to ever win the trophy. The other one was Kyler Murray in 2013. But yeah, he was in our opinion, he was the most outstanding high school football player in the state of Texas, which is why he was the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year for 2022. And then two more things I think we got real quick. One, it's coaching change season, and we'll have a lot of them up on TexasFootball.com. Joe Willis from Tyler Legacy announced his retirement today. Matt Stepp is going to have all these covered for you at TexasFootball.com.
Presented by North Texas Honda Dealers.
Thank you. But one that really caught our eye, and obviously has big doings, is that Arlington Martin is looking for a coach for the first time in almost 2 decades, as Bob Wager, the longtime head coach at Arlington Martin, is leaving Arlington Martin to join the staff at Nebraska under Matt Rule. This feels like copy-paste from what he did at Baylor, where, if you remember, at Baylor, one of the concerns we had, go back and run the tape when he got hired at Baylor, and we talked about it on this show. One of the concerns was, this is a Yankee. Like, this is like Matt Rule is a guy from the Northeast. Like, what does he know about Texas and stuff? So what he did was he went out and he hired Texas bona fides. He hired Texas hired guns, right? And so he hired Joey McGuire, now the head coach of Texas Tech, and he hired David Wetzel, the head coach, who is still, I believe, the head of high school relations there at Baylor. He also brought in Sean Bell, who was an alumnus as well. He loaded up on Texas high school football coaches, right? Well-respected, well-known, well-liked Texas high school football coaches. This feels like the same thing in Nebraska. He wants to continue. He knows that he needs a pipeline to the state of Texas. And so he goes, well, let's go and let's hire Bob Wager onto our staff. Here's the other thing, and maybe this is getting overlooked, because, like, for example, when McGuire got hired at Baylor, I believe he was brought on as like a tight ends coach, and like Joey McGuire knows a lot about football, and I'm sure those were supremely well-coached tight ends. But let's be real about why Joey McGuire was there. Joey McGuire was there to be kind of a Texas high school football liaison in a lot of ways, right? Yes, he was an on-field coach, but in that way. I do not think that's the case with Bob Wager, because Bob Wager is being hired as the special teams coordinator. I believe the co-special teams coordinator.
Which one makes sense? The dude knows his way around special teams.
That's exactly my point. You go and look at Arlington Martin.
Yep.
They are special teams fiends.
Yes.
There at Arlington Martin, and always have been. Always have been. And so I do not necessarily think this is some sort of, let's go and, just hire a guy and give him a position. I think they hired him, yes, because of the Texas bona fides, and he's going to have that connection to the state of Texas as far as the recruiting pipeline. That is important. But I also said, well, we're hiring this guy. We might as well put him into a place where he knows his stuff, and he knows special teams.
Did you see who Matt Rule hired as his wide receivers coach?
No, I didn't.
A 23-year-old. Do you know who that 23-year-old is?
Is it me?
You're not 23. Neither am I. Joey McGuire's son.
Oh, did he really? He hired Garrett?
Yeah, Garrett is leaving the Panthers and going to be the wide receivers coach at under Matt Rule.
I did not see that, but congratulations to Garrett.
How cool is that?
That is cool. Savvy. Very savvy. It's not
Here comes the recruiting wars between son and
not just
father.
Not just a hat rack there on Matt Rule. So that's big news. And so of course Arlington Martin's going to be a big job opening.
That's
I believe
a huge
Step,
job opening.
I believe Step has said that he would right now place his wager, his wager on an internal hire, but we will see exactly because that's going to be a big time opening.
Yeah, because I believe that Wager's had his same guys with him for quite a while.
And finally. Speaking of recruiting, the number one prospect in the state of Texas and the cover boy of the 2022 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Rising magazine, David Hicks, Katy Paetow defensive end David Hicks, has signed with Texas A&M. He was a guy who was a longtime A&M commit, but was on severe flip watch. Everyone was looking at him because he took an official visit to Oregon, and he went up to Oklahoma, and he was starting to dance around. And with the way that A&M season went, and they had already lost a couple of high-profile players, or commits, I should say, there was some real concern about whether or not he would sign with A&M. He did, in fact, sign with A&M. I thought that was a critical signing there for A&M to hold together their class. They also get Reuben Owens on a flip, which we talked about. They were able to, for A&M, obviously, compared to last year's recruiting class,
right?
It's just like it was never going to match up. This feels like an important kind of holding together of some key recruits, including the number one prospect in Dave Campbell's Texas football in the state, in David Hicks. They're able to get him signed. So a really important grab, a really important signing there for A&M. So that's it. That's obviously not everything that happened while we were gone. Those were some of the headlines across the state. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. And now, a word from our friends at VCR Now.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
All right, Pickle. We have been gone for the last couple of weeks. We did state championships, and then we came in on the Monday after state championships, and then we took off. And you and I don't talk whenever these microphones are on.
I don't like you.
We don't.
Even with the microphone on, to be honest.
Well, I appreciate you holding back for the most part. And so I have no idea what you did.
Yeah.
Over your break. What did you do on your holiday vacation?
So we did our Monday show, the state recap show on the 19th, and then I left and I headed down to Houston to visit my boyfriend Brian. and stayed down there for about 4 days. I got to see the Cougs basketball team in action, which was really, really cool. They're the number 3 ranked team in the nation, so that was a really fun atmosphere. It was December 21st, and it was a sold-out game, which, all due respect to the University of North Texas where I went, that is not always the case there, so it was cool to see. Then I went home and spent time with family until I came back up on the 26th. Then I was in the office a couple days getting just some stuff done.
You came into the office?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Look at you, hard worker. Little worker bee.
And then I worked again on the 30th for my Cotton Bowl prep day. And then yesterday I was out again because of the actual Cotton Bowl that I was able to MC. So that was a ton of fun. That game slapped yesterday. I don't know if you got to watch any of it.
Tulane comes back and beats USC.
Yeah.
That game looked like it was over with about 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Like they kicked the field goal to go up like 13, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that's all she wrote.
It was an absolute blast. And then we also, if you haven't, because we have been on break, Mallory Hartley celebrated her birthday on December 30th.
Mallory
So I got to celebrate Mallory this year, which was great. I didn't get to do that last year because my Cotton Bowl day was actually on the 30th, so I felt bad. But this year we got to celebrate Mallory and her birthday, so it was a good time, a much needed time with family and some not football, but also football. But it was fun football, so it made it okay. But now my football season is officially over. Well, I guess after Monday when TCU plays.
TCU.
But my live football attendance is officially over now.
Right. So we did the show on Monday, the 19th, the 2019th. And when I left this office, I went home and I had my wife drive me to a rental car place to pick up a rented minivan. Now,
Dad stuff.
Did you guys ever have a minivan growing up?
No.
You never did?
No.
So we did. We had like the Windstar, not Windstar, Aerostar.
Like
the Aerostar.
Windstar, the casino.
Yeah, man, we were really large there at the Tupper house. We have the Aerostar, minivan that everybody had that it looks like the 90s.
Yeah. Y'all also had 5. Y'all have a family of 5.
We have a family of 5.
See, we had 4, so a normal car worked fine for us.
So we picked up a minivan because we were driving to St. Louis, which is where my wife's from, and her family's up there. And let me tell you about the minivan, Pickle.
Okay.
I want to start with this. I'm not buying a minivan.
Okay.
I'm not buying a minivan. Okay? I'm not going to become a minivan guy.
You already have like a mom car, kind of.
I have a mom car.
So
got a mom. Yeah, we've got the small SUV.
Yeah.
Which is the new minivan.
Yeah, you have mom car, so you're already kind of there.
Not going to buy a minivan.
New age there.
With that said,
the minivan rocked.
Minivans rule.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
If they just weren't so minivan.
The advances we have made in minivan technology over the last 20 years, remarkable. Remarkable. Okay? This thing, and I won't say the name of the company, but this thing ruled. Okay? And part of it is my car is 2016. So we've made great strides in car technology over the last 7 years. But and so some of these things are standard.
Yeah.
And yet so Hank and Max each got a captain's chair with their car seats.
Yeah, the bucket seats.
The bucket seats.
Bucket seats are so dope.
My wife got to sit in the back and be quarterback, stuff like that. She had plenty of room. We had plenty of room for all the stuff we were bringing up there, and then of course on the way back, heated seats.
Nice, solid.
Heated steering wheel.
See, that's a luxury that I've never experienced.
Oh my gosh!
But
it was cold. Okay, it was cold, and just everything just. A beautiful driving experience. A beautiful driving experience. I will rent a minivan anytime I have an opportunity. It ruled. Okay, the minivan was excellent. Driving up to St. Louis, and we do the thing where we wake up at really early. We got on the road at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so the kids sleep.
So the kids. The idea is it's about a little less than 10 hours of driving. But knowing full well we're going to need stops and stuff like that ended up taking us 12 hours each way. And so the idea is let's get everybody in the car. Dad'll pump some caffeine, and everyone else can sleep in the back, and we'll get 3 hours under our belt before anybody wakes up, before we stop for breakfast. After we stop for breakfast and we get back in the car, I kind of feel something in my throat. And I'm like, okay, I have cough drops. Just keep popping cough drops, stuff like that. We got to Big Cabin, Oklahoma, which is where we turn on to 44. And that's the point where I turn to my wife and I go, I need to tell you something. Something's coming. Like, I can feel it. I can feel it right now. I just need to let you know. Start feeling not great. Make it to St. Louis. Get there, like I said, about 12 hours door to door. A little more than 12 hours door to door. I take a nice nap, wake up, we eat dinner. Still not feeling great, but I'm thinking, you know what? I've been burning the candle at both ends. I'm really tired. This and the other. Go to bed. Wake up the next morning. Now, I am not the kind of person. I'll play hurt. I'm not here to say I'm some sort of hero, but I'll play hurt. If I've got a cold or I've got something nagging or something like that, I'll just be like, whatever. I'll just pop some whatever medicine and be good. When I tell you I felt like I had gotten hit by a truck.
That's rough.
Rough morning on that Wednesday morning. But I was also of the guy who was like, you know what? I'm maybe just tired. It's a cold or something like that. Whatever. I'm not going to go get any medicine. I'll just be fine. I'll just lay around all day. Lay around all day. You know, I'll shake it off. Hopefully, just 24-hour thing. I'm wake up next morning. Wake up Thursday morning and feel at best the same and at worst worse. And so at that point, I'm like, I probably need to go see a doctor, go to urgent care, and I have the flu. We'll have a flu Christmas, as we would say. And so I was quarantined, essentially, at my poor in-laws' house for like 4.5 days.
Jeez.
Straight up not having a good time. That's why I got to watch the entire Armed Forces Bowl. Because, like, what else am I going to do? I'm down there by myself. And, like, it's one of those things that, like, I think in the abstract, you're like, oh, boy, I'd love to just, like, lay around all day. Like, and just have a day to myself and just watch something on the
but not when you feel like crap.
Oh, I felt like absolute garbage. Absolute garbage.
So you're not actually catching up on rest at that point?
The first thing I was able to do with the family was eat Christmas Eve dinner. And I went up there and I like sat away from the table and stuff like that. We ate Christmas Eve dinner. I was good enough for Christmas. So we were good enough. I didn't go to church with the family. We just didn't think that was a good idea. A lot of old people go to church and stuff.
Right.
And, you know, I don't want to be a vector. And so, but yeah, I was down for the count for about 4.5 days. And so my Christmas break was my Christmas trip there was driving to St. Louis, getting sick, having Christmas, and then driving back. Is basically what I did. And then after we got back, we were home for a couple of days, and then we went up to Oklahoma with my folks to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, to one of those
cabins.
One of those cabins.
Nice.
We had a great time up there. Everybody and their dog had the same idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The traffic in McCurtain County, Oklahoma, was crazy.
And it's one way.
Oh yeah. And so
it's like
it was
one
really,
little like Brookshire
really
Brothers
funny.
on the path.
So I plugged our address into Waze, right? So we're going. It's about a 3.5-hour trip. And as we're getting closer, one of the things about Waze is that it will give you the most direct route, even if it's not the smartest route.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, oh, if you make these 4 turns, you'll save 1 minute. As opposed to like, you'd be like, no, I'm just going to go here.
Yeah, and especially when you're driving through Broken Bow, that ends up being back roads up a hill that's not necessarily the safest way to get there.
But what's so funny is that you could tell who else was using Waze.
Because everyone was on
we're turn off the highway onto this little road that is going to save you, again, 30 seconds on the whole. But there's this caravan of people who are all doing the same thing. I'm like, oh, you guys are coming from Dallas too, and you guys are going to go to the same place we are.
Yep.
So we went up there. We had a great time. Hank and Max had a great time. They got to make s'mores. Got to hang out with the family, and all the cousins got matching pajamas, and it was very cute.
Solid.
So we had a great time.
I'm glad you got like a redemption on your what should have been like it would have stunk if you came back and then you just kind of
came back
sat
to
there.
Work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was nice. And I appreciate my in-laws for taking care of me and just kind of like being like they brought me food and stuff while I was sick, which they didn't need to do. I could have just starved. And I just appreciate them taking care of me and putting up with a sick son-in-law.
Oh.
You know, and
I was
you know,
gonna
also
say,
pick up- like my
honestly-
wife, of course, had to like pick up the slack on like the like taking care of the kids and stuff. So it's
Right.
like I'm
But-
useless.
Yeah, but
More
honestly,
useless than
it's better
useless.
to be there with other family that also want to see the kids and keep them entertained than
Right.
Jen pulling out her hair trying to take care of all three of you
Right.
at the house.
Exactly.
You know?
So, anyway, I do not recommend the flu. I'm gonna
They
give
had
it.
us in the first half.
I'm
not
gonna give
lie.
it half a star.
Yeah, it's pretty
Having
bad.
the flu, half a star. I could be talked into 0 stars, but for now it's half a star. Anyway, that was our holiday break and what we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
I'm trying to find the final thoughts button. Forgot about that.
The final thoughts. Hit the final thoughts button.
I would say that keep an eye out for all the college content coming this week.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously Craven and Ish and Corey and everyone on that side of the department is going to have a ton of stuff coming out about the national championship
Craven
game.
was in Phoenix for the or I guess Glendale.
He had to drive to Phoenix
That's right, because of all
because
the
of
stuff
all the
with
flight
Southwest.
craziness. Yeah.
He had to fly, and then he will be in L.A. for the national championship game. I don't know when he gets there. I need to talk with him. But when he gets there, and so we will have coverage on the scene coverage as TCU goes for Texas's first national championship since 2005. So yeah, check out TexasFootball.com. You got anything else?
No.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Good to be back, folks. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We will see you tomorrow, believe it or not, on Texas Football Today.